We, we found a heart issue he didn't know he had that would have killed him, but the neurologic issue from a diagnosed seizure is no good. Building and Grounds Committee meeting to order. On the agenda tonight we have several items to consider for declaring surplus property. Most of these are real estate. First item on the agenda is a vacant lot on Durham Street. It's a half-acre lot, and I don't know if everybody's looked at the packet, but it's, come on up, Frank, sure. Directly across the street, well, almost and down a little bit from Smooth Rapids.
Yeah, it's a between Michael Hale, Ducey Hale. It's right beside his place there. It ain't that much.
Is that the side of that hill there in the
Yeah.
curve?
Yeah, that's it.
Very wooded.
There's no horizontal.
Really, the only benefit, who would have the benefit is the people in the house before you get to it and Ducey. I mean, that would be the ones in Ducey remodeling instead of building condos or whatever. I would think he would be interested in it.
And I guess the first question, I mean, of you and of anybody else, could you ever see any need the city would have for
No,
it in any way?
They wouldn't be nothing, because I mean, it's straight up the hill. If we had a drive into it, it would be like this.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with blueways or.
Well, with it being across the street from the
Yeah.
river. It looks to be very isolated. I mean, totally isolated
Yeah.
between two privately owned pieces of property. I don't know how we ended up with it as surplus, but it probably somebody just gave up the deed to it forever. And we ended up getting it for unpaid taxes would be my guess. Mr. Pearl, do you know?
No, I don't know the history.
That's what I figured, taxes.
Yeah, it's pretty worthless.
We didn't tear down a house on it like this.
Not what I know of.
Not during my time here.
Yeah,
Well, I'll make a motion that we declare this surplus property.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, to declare this lot surplus property. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. And just to be clear also, all these items will have to go to the full board
Yes.
to decide for sure.
Yes.
Second item on the agenda is a vacant lot on South Riverside Drive.
That is straight across the river from Smooth Rapid. And how we ever got that spot, I don't know either, because it's actually across the river from Smooth Rapid.
Looks like it's almost landlocked.
Is
Yeah,
that,
There's a very
There-
narrow little.
Yeah, there's
is
a,
that an easement going
I
down to
would
it?
think that would be an easement. And it is, I mean, it is a bluff. It's, I mean, it's all, if you ever go down to Rocket and look across the river, I mean, it's pretty well straight up.
That would need to be established as an easement or not,
Yeah,
because the city cannot dispose or convey title to a landlocked piece of property. You know, just as a citizen cannot convey title to a landlocked piece of property. The tax map would indicate that that is, however, an easement.
Yeah.
Or a part of the actual tract, which is the more likely.
Yeah.
scenario.
You
The
have to
deed
do
would say for sure.
you have to do a search on it and find.
Well, look at the deed. It may be described as a deed. You know, Paul Hogan subdivided lots and lots and lots of farms and ran a parallel piece of the property to the nearest right of way. And that appears to be what was done here.
This is weird. I mean, I wonder why all these other things just didn't go to the river, all these other lots.
Is it across from any part of the sewage treatment
no,
area?
no, it's down from that.
And it is, from paddling by, it is a very steep embankment
Yeah.
all along the way, isn't it?
What, so what if it is landlocked, then what?
You have to condemn a right of way across across the adjoining landowner to the nearest public right of way of not less than 30 feet. And the jury determines the value of that 30 feet right of way to a public right of way taken from the existing owner. So in other words, you're condemning your way to a public.
So if it's landlocked, you couldn't even give it to the three property owners that it borders. I mean,
That is a possibility. It's called assemblage. And you very well might be able to do that. But it would be contiguous owners or owners of contiguous property with existing access to a public right of way of not less than 30 feet. But this, whatever you want to call it, neck, if you're looking at the diagram,
We certainly don't want to
that
throw
looks
money
very much like what would have been reserved for access to. public property.
Yeah.
So it's probably not landlocked, but you'd have to look at the deed to be sure.
But should we just pass over this one?
My problem,
could we,
no, you can declare it surplus. You have to take a second step to liquidate, sell, conveys, whatever.
I'd like to declare it surplus based upon the existence of a right of way out that way.
It doesn't have to be predicated on it. You can
Okay.
declare surplus and we can sort out the access later.
I'll make a motion to declare it surplus.
Second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Third item on the agenda is property located on Sunset Point Road.
That's the property actually, I guess, home is wanting. So
We have a survey, thanks to Michael Moore. We have a legal description and we also have the plat. So just to be clear, the border of the property that's closest to the transfer station.
Yeah.
It kind of goes around that, all the brush pile.
Yeah, yeah.
And your city still is keeping the area where all the brush
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, we still have to keep it.
And where the building.
Yeah, we're keeping the building. The only thing is just where home actually wants, I think. I don't know why the big lot got put on it, other than just showing where actually home is wanting it or whatever.
What are you referring to as the big lot?
The whole place, the transfer station.
Parcel number
This
23.
shows.
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah, right here shows the whole
If you
thing.
flip
Yeah.
on over, it's got,
And
you got a legal description and then you
there's
got
one here.
this survey.
That's what home is.
Go to the next page.
Next one.
We got a survey of,
So the red circle is the actual survey.
that's the
More or less.
actual lot that they're wanting.
And
You got this one?
it's the northern
One
part,
more.
the
Yes, there you
northern
go. Yeah.
6 acres of parcel 23.01, correct?
Yeah.
Now, how do we do this? We have to declare this surplus before we can give it to them then?
Yes.
Okay. I'd make a motion, we declare it surplus. then.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion also carries.
That motion was limited to the 6.17 acre tract surveyed by
correct.
Mount, correct? Not the entire parcel.
Right.
Okay,
As described in the survey.
yes.
Next item on the agenda is property located on Tolles Avenue. This is an odd piece as well.
That used to be the water tower used to stand there. And that's how the city of Tame did or whatever. There used to be a water tower there years ago.
Just in a drive-by, it doesn't look to be 30 feet wide. I mean, it can't,
It's very narrow.
I'm not sure what it could,
I mean, the
Next door neighbors. may want it.
neighbors would be the best thing for it. Because I don't think it's wide enough to build anything.
I mean,
No, it's not. It's very narrow.
I make a motion that we declare this piece on Tolles Avenue surplus property.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item on the agenda are the safe deposit boxes left over from Regis Bank.
I'll make that motion right now. We've discussed this long enough. I'll make the motion. We declare these safety deposit boxes surplus property.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. I did.
Oh, that's the next one. That's the next one.
Next item on the agenda is the blue building.
Just a sheet of paper.
Declare it surplus property.
The way I read the agenda is we're going to declare both parcels, the 3.0 and the 2. Can't even read that 2.0 together.
The only suggestion I have is we've got a salt house there. But to me, the whole thing needs to go and might build a salt house out on our place we've got now out Belmont. Because the building the roof is not that good. It will have to be replaced very soon if we do keep it. So,
Just concrete blocks.
yeah, It's concrete with wood trusses. But, I mean, I would say do both sections. And it kind of, I guess, squares up that land a little better as far with the blue building part.
But if we declare these surplus property together, we could still decide to sell them separately.
You can do anything you want. with them. Cut them into little pieces, or, I mean, you could subdivide them or
Yeah.
whatever you choose.
Could you could decide like the one we did before this, it might be a good dog park. Can you decide to keep them?
Of course. This is only describing it, only declaring these properties surplus. That doesn't mean you have to do anything with them. It simply enables you to do things with them.
This is the easy part.
Well, I'll make the motion that we declare both these pieces surplus property.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion also carries. So again, just so everybody understands that all these items have to go to the full board to be voted on again. And also, there's been some question. I know there was maybe some misinformation in the paper about how we have, if we do decide to sell that property, how it has to be sold. What you've said before, there's no requirement that it has to be sealed bids or what are the requirements in selling a piece of property like that?
Simply that it be a competitive bidding process. It isn't more defined than that. There are any number of cases that in Tennessee courts that have dealt with how governmental entities dispose of public properties. And it in a simplest terms, has to be a competitive process. You can't advantage anyone or, give one a term that is not equally available. To other
Unless it's a
interested parties.
nonprofit.
Well, nonprofits are exceptions to most rules, but you have to competitively bid the property for sale. Sealed bids is one way to do it. Of course, absolute auction is a perfectly acceptable way to do it.
How about just putting it up for sale? That's not,
You
that's
mean
not
as
considered.
like, as in a private listing for sale, $1 million?
Yeah,
That's a tough one. I would have to research that because
We did that with the mainstream properties.
no, you advertised it and it was sealed bid because the purchasers actually got the property, the two lots where the condos now stand. That was sealed bid.
I thought we
No, it was sealed bid.
set a,
You said a minimum bid, but
There
okay,
was a minimum. Yeah, but it was a sealed bid process.
we only had one bidder, I think.
As it were, I think that's correct. Who bought both lots.
so
It's hard for me to imagine how putting a for sale sign, X number of dollars would be competitive because the first person, to dial the number might be the purchaser, whereas everyone else who didn't see the sign go up that day would have been excluded from the process. Does that make sense?
It does.
but there's possibly nonprofits may possibly not be bound by those rules.
We'd have to talk about it.
Okay.
I can't really give you a real clear answer on that without,
We give Habitat, we give Home.
that's true. And I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying, I don't want to give you an opinion. It might be misquoted in the paper.
So first step, declaring surplus property, and then that goes to full board, then we do that, yes or no. And then we start trying to weed out how we're gonna,
Determine
What
how
we're
you
gonna do
want
with that
to
form.
dispose of the properties in a competitive bidding arrangement.
right.
And you may, as you did on the downtown lots, you may elect to impose certain terms and conditions on the sale. I think the lots that were sold that Alderman Brock referenced had a provision that required improvement to the vacant lots within a certain period of time, or title would revert back to the city. There are lots of considerations you might want to make.
I remember we did that so that people would just buy it, and sit on it
Right.
forever without building something.
Exactly. Any further discussion? Sincerely apologize for allowing 30 minutes for this meeting. Bad about that. Well, nothing else, so this committee meeting's adjourned.
the safety committee meeting together. First on the agenda is a request by a resident to put up a stop sign at the location of Roosevelt and Franklin due to speeders. Chief, would you like to share some intel on this situation?
We did a study. We had a complaint last year too of speeders on that particular area. And there was a study done at that time. And then again, a study done this time. We had the box put up. And in 2020, there was like 1,694 vehicles that traveled there through that street. The speed limit's 30 miles an hour. Average speed was 17. The max over 40 was 26 speeders, and then over 45 were 10. Now, this year when we did this one for a week or 6 days, there was 6,121 vehicles that went down that road. Average speed's 18. There was 59 of them that went over 40 miles per hour, and then 15 that was over 45. In the past year, there hasn't been any crashes or anything on that street, so we haven't had any issues with that. Yes, it's my opinion that there's really not a speeding issue there, but if a stop sign slows anybody down, I mean, that's fine too. I mean, I'm not opposed to putting one up if, you wish to do that. But, if that's makes them happy over in there. I think they're saying that not only the speeders, but it's people using that road as a cut through. I don't know why they, I don't really understand that question. I mean, why they think that, but there's a hill and it's probably looking like they're going faster than they are, when they're coming down that hill. So that's the data that we have. But like I said, I mean, if it slows anybody down, I mean, that's good. I don't know that would be a big expense to put up a stop sign there at all. I don't think it would, but I don't really see a problem there.
We have a letter from Robert Patterson, who lives on 213 Roosevelt, and there are a number of neighbors that signed on the letter making this request.
There is a stop sign on Franklin, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. But not on the two sides of the road.
Right.
And if you look at the east side of that road, there's a hill that comes down right before you get to that three-way. And I could see how people
Yeah.
would pick up speed on that, or trying to get up the hill.
Long road.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's like all the others. We may not see something that these people are there every day. And
Mhm.
the thing has always been, okay, what the heck, let's do it. I mean,
It's not gonna hurt anything.
there.
No, it's not gonna hurt anything, right? It's gonna make them happy.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not opposed to, doing it. That's what they, want. We may see a wreck or two there,
Yeah, make them-
till they get rid. I don't know.
No wrecks.
No, there hasn't been any in the
Really?
last year. We just ran it from, for this past year. But I was talking to other officers like Deputy Chief, Lane and stuff, through the years, even I've been there. I don't recall any over there on that street.
Just seems like every time we ask, somebody asks to put one up, and it's just.
That's what I meant. It's just one of those things that.
I know in one of the Westwood ones we did, there were some documented
Right.
instances in those, but I mean, like Sally said, it's not gonna hurt anything, but when you look at the numbers, I know this is a small pool of data, but you got almost 8,000 vehicles in this time frame, and the average speed 17.5 miles an hour.
What was your high and low speed? Or
Um,
high speed?
Let me find this. I didn't have that, just had the total numbers there on this one. Let's see. Last year's. Okay, The highest was 57. And then, of course, the average speed was 18. That was this year's. Now, last year when the study was done, and it was just only out there 2 days, the highest was 71, and I think that's like one person, but it was 71 and the average was 17.
That's the one they're gonna see.
Mhm.
We have a motion from Sally Brock to apply a stop sign at
I'll say.
Freeway. Second from Alderman Brock. All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else that needs to come before the safety committee? We'll stand adjourned.
And we'll call the Streets and Sanitation Committee meeting to order. And Frank, guess you're on again. Yep, you again.
All I'm needing is, I guess, some clarity I don't know if need it rewritten or whatever, but I don't think we need to be picking up from contractors, brush or house stuff. I mean, if the homeowner wants to do it, that's fine. I mean, but whenever you start to pay somebody, that's more or less saying you're a contractor. And I don't think it's in the best interest of the city because, I mean, if we keep picking up from them, I'm afraid we're gonna have to raise our rates or something to accommodate the cost of getting rid of it. And I don't know if this needs to be rewritten in the codes department or the codes book to, I guess, classify that, clarify it a little bit more.
Stacy, you said something.
Well, I was told that we never picked up contractor stuff, whether it's trees or
We don't,
refuge.
but there's people fussing
That we're not.
that it's not, I guess, clear enough for them. I mean, I kind of think if we say no, that's clear enough,
I would think.
but it's not.
Well,
They
I would,
got something to fall back on or whatever,
What does
so.
it say? What's the?
It's in your packet.
it's in your packet, it's highlighted red. But I have probably, I have maybe a question that might help us on, or an idea that might help us on some of this. On everything but tree limbs. I believe that based upon the amount of permits that we issue for decks and this and that, I mean, it seems like just about anything we do around here has to go through community development. Just about anything. And it would seem to me that if there's a permit listed, all we do is exclude pickup from those addresses.
Yeah.
Period. And when we issue a permit, we should have them sign a notification that they agree that they're going to be responsible for their own construction waste. Period. It takes some coordination between community development and streets and sanitation, but I think that could be done pretty easily. And I mean, if it's not picked up, they're going to complain, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I've been working with community development on it, and we have got a very good understanding. And Katie Smart, I don't know, I've talked to her about it, and she kind of tells them whenever they come to get a permit. Now, the city's not liable to pick it up or whatever.
Are you, don't quite understand. Are you suggesting that we stop providing the service of containers to contractors that will
no.
pay for them?
No, not containers, just whenever they come and,
You're just
I mean,
like
that's
dumping it out of the
a,
street.
Set it on the side of the road.
they're actually paying. I mean, whenever we go and get a container, they're actually paying something. But this is people that are just putting it beside the road. I mean, that's like excess household garbage people's putting out now, besides going and getting an extra garbage can. They pay $50 for extra garbage can, and it's $8.53 a month extra to have an extra garbage can. But we're getting a lot of household garbage just where it won't fit in their can after the lid's up like this and it's running out. They just throw it beside the can and we're having to pick it up. And that's an extra cost, extra person for us to go and get that stuff picked up.
We actually get out of the truck and go do that.
No, we've got another truck that goes around and gets junk.
The refuse truck.
Gets like, yeah. I mean, we need to get back to it used to be household, like appliances, couches, stoves, refrigerators. We'd pick that up, not household waste.
We talked about it like with remodeling.
Yeah.
I remodeled my bathroom,
Yeah,
that you'll pick that up.
yeah,
If the contractors, if anybody else is doing it, that's gonna be a no.
yeah.
But I think we would have to reword this. That doesn't sound like that matches
Yeah.
that. I did talk to Chattanooga Public Works and they don't pick up any of it.
Yeah.
Even if you're doing it yourself.
See, I've talked to some places and they have like brush, they have, you do spring cleaning, we pick it up for a month. Then in the fall, they pick it up for a month. And that's, I mean, that's all you get picked up. It ain't picked up every single day.
Even in a case, it seems to me like where it's not a contractor, somebody's remodeling their own bathroom or their own kitchen or whatever they're doing. The deal that you offer on a container is so good. I don't know why you wouldn't just make everybody do that, because it's not, I mean, compared to what you pay for Southern Central or a company like that, it's a way better deal.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe you could eliminate anybody putting stuff out on the street as far as remodeling goes. Now, I'm talking about brush, but you know, that you cut out,
Yeah.
comes out of your yard, but
How many of those containers do you have? The small, you know what I mean? What are they? 5 yard,
they're small.
3 yard?
6 yard.
6 yard? How many-
We have probably 15 or so.
How much do we rent them for?
The first time we dump them, take them, dump them, it's $55, then 25 after that.
But we don't charge them to put them there. It's just dumping.
Yeah. The first time we dump them, it's $55. Every time after that, it's 25.
And they call you when they're ready to dump.
Yep. Anytime they need to be dumped, they call us and we try to do it that day.
What would the likelihood of getting agreement on this? I'm just spitballing here, but what would the likelihood of being that that including in a building permit, there's a container, period. You pull a permit, designate a place for the container, we put the container, you call it, we bill you to pull it. Wouldn't that stop it? If we just add that to the building permit, that you're obviously going to be creating construction debris. We're going to provide you a container.
If it's a contractor.
But that's the thing. It's not a contractor. It's going to cost him any money. You know the deal
Yeah, I know.
on
but I
that.
mean,
But I mean, I think we just make it blanket, just blanket. And again, spitballing. But you know, you apply for a permit, we issue a permit, and we place a container. Whatever, however many times it needs to be emptied, you pay the market rate for emptying. And when you close your permit out, we come remove it. Just make it part of the process.
Except for a homeowner.
No, make it part of the process, no matter who does it. No matter who does it.
The only thing with that, I don't know if we've got enough.
Yeah.
Well, and that would be
How
part
much
two.
construction's going on right now? in
Well, that
Warren
would be part two,
Yeah.
is how, you know, how much are they, what CapEx will we have to get into that? And, you know, that may not work, but, you know, the majority of the projects that we see around here that are causing the nuisance are the small ones anyway. It's not
Yeah.
the big ones.
Yeah.
The big ones get 30-yard roll-offs. It's the little ones.
But
Yeah.
there's got to be exceptions to that, because if you're required to buy a permit to build 2 steps coming off a front porch, if that's all you're doing, you don't need a container for that.
Well, I guess it would be if you're going to create
Right.
create demolition, if there's demolition involved in the permit. If it's adding to an existing structure, you can throw it in the back of the truck and go take it to the county, the refuge facility. But if there's demolition, that's where the majority of that comes from.
What do we do with construction waste? What do you do with?
Southern Central.
They take concrete, scrap wood and all that kind of stuff.
What's the fee on a 6-yard container?
It's by weight with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's by weight.
And you're
It's-
charging $25 to go pick it up, so you got labor. You got-
That needs to be raised because
I'm afraid we were going to get that.
it's
Yeah, we talked about a study on that.
$42 a ton. So,
I mean, and again, going back to the point about the other things, is that it, you know, that is, we're serving the city. So. it's-
on the committee, but I'd say let's put a little more thought into this, maybe come back to it later. Because I think everybody's got some good ideas, and I think some community education,
Yes.
going forward, we're not gonna do this anymore. We're not getting your extra household garbage you're just throwing on the sidewalk. We're not picking up your brush once a week and stuff like that. We're gonna have to rein that in somehow.
And even if you didn't require it, like you were talking about, at the very least, every permit that's pulled, you could say, listen, you're not allowed to dump it on the street anymore. Do you want this container for this fee? Or,
Yeah.
or either that, or you gotta haul it off yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. Community development. part.
And then if,
And that's the thing with the construction. It ain't that bad. It's the tree services that's coming around here cutting. We just had one. We hauled a 7 piles off, 7 loads. And is a tree service that come in here. I have pictures of them up in the trees getting it. I mean, the tree services is the main thing, because the contractors, they're like community development, they're telling them. And they're good about not putting it out. They're hauling it off themselves. Now, the little homeowners and stuff that's doing it, that's no big deal. I could see us doing it. I mean, we need to pick up from the homeowner. But whenever somebody can afford to get it done, we don't need to, in the future, we don't need to have to raise taxes to pay for somebody that can afford to get it done. It's kind of how I see it.
I agree with that.
You said the tree services were
Yeah,
the worst?
yeah, that's the main thing, is the tree service.
I just had several trees taken out. They've
They
always
clean them
hauled them
up.
off.
Yeah, but there's several that don't.
But Frank and I dealt with a couple lately where they've had tree services come and cut trees down, stack it by the road. And then they've told them, no, we're not gonna come pick it up because you hired a contractor
Well,
to
yeah.
do it. And then they're calling me, wanting me to do something about it. It's just, come on,
Yeah, we need,
like he said, if you can hire the contractor, you can get paid to.
Yeah, you can haul it off.
Most of
Get
those
it.
guys understand that and haul it
you
off.
would
It just
think,
depends on
But
what
they-
it is.
yeah.
But I mean, that's the main thing, is the tree services. Because the construction people, they're telling them in community development, and they're listening and they're doing it, most of them. I mean, we have some little fly by night, you wonder if they even got a permit that does it, that they'll put it out.
We've got so many yard services and lawn
Oh,
services. and
yeah.
Landscaping companies now, it's hard.
So do we need to have a committee meeting and,
Sounds like it.
look over this and yeah, put something out?
Let's try to do that before the next meeting.
Yeah, I think we can.
And then we can come up with some
Sure.
better ideas.
Yeah, some verbiage and whatever. Yeah. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you. Anything else for the Streets and Sanitation Committee? If not, we're adjourned.
Finance Committee will come to order. First thing on the agenda is to renew or review the 21-22 proposed budget. Shirley just finished up May, and I've got preliminary numbers on June. Probably another week or so, we'll have all the rest of them. Is that correct, Shirley? We'll have everything done. I had Samantha, while Shirley was gone, do some preliminary numbers for June. And I've got some interesting numbers. I hesitate to hand them out until we get a little bit better numbers, but just to give you a little bit of an idea, we're not looking very bad at all compared to what we had the budget. At the end of last year, we had almost $4.7 million in the bank. And we projected that it would be 3.1 for this coming year, almost 3.2 for the coming year. Looks like we're going to do much, much better than that. We may end up having more money in the bank this year than we did last year. It's possible we might start the year with around 5 million. Shirley's got it pegged a little bit less than that, but again, that's only through May, and these numbers that I've got are very subject to change. They haven't been reconciled yet. But you know, if things are good, we could have somewhere between 4 and 5 million in the bank instead of 4.692. So that's to give you a few things. We've got around $1 million, almost $1.5 million in increases. Now, these are increases compared to the budget, not increases compared to last year. Property taxes are up 4%. That's 175,000. Local sales tax are up 17%, or $345,000. Tax. Let's see what this. Some other taxes is a total of about $345,000. Miscellaneous taxes, state taxes, liquor taxes, beer taxes, all that is up almost $500,000. Building permits are up $30,000. That's 28%. Interstate tax, which is now being collected on interstate sales, mail order sales, that type of thing, that's up 38 or 38%, $28,000. Those are, of course, those are fairly new taxes. And one of the things that we made money on last year, or up from the budget, was pool. We actually, between pool and the concessions, we were above budget by $32,000. So the Civic Center may not have, or the Rec Center may not have done very well, but the pool did. So even with all the restrictions we had on it, where we had declines in revenue was the Park Theater, of course, $42,000 there, and the Rec Center, which was down $80,000, not counting the pool. So about $122,000 there. No, I mean, that's the reason that was. And we accounted for a lot of that in the budget, but we just didn't account for enough of it. Sure. We also said that we hope to get somewhere between 7 and 10% back from the departments. And when I first ran through it, it only came out to 4%, and we were wondering what it was. And then it dawned on us that we paid $388,000 for pay setters when it wasn't in the budget. And we paid $21,000 for Microsoft 365, which is not in the budget. So those two added up to about 3%. So if you take that plus the 4% we could identify, it comes out to about 7%. So we're looking pretty good. We're whittling that down so that, used to it was 10, 15%. But each 1% is worth about $140,000. So the ending balance was projected to be started around 3 million, 3.1. And we could end up, like I said, it could be 5 million, it could be 4.5 million. These numbers are so rough at this point in time. I hate to to bring them up.
On this sheet right here
Mhm.
that I gave out, where it shows you the June 30th 21 balances, those are your reconciled balances.
Okay. Up
Except,
through May, right?
no, these are through June.
Oh, that one's through June.
Yeah, these
Okay.
are through June.
All right.
This is it,
This is
four
it.
point nine seven seven.
Yes.
Yep.
The only one that's not up to date is on the last page, the water. She's still working on
Right.
the bank accounts.
Okay.
But all these others, they are at June 30th.
Okay. Well, we're getting close to 5 million.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're better off than what we thought. Now, there are two things that I want to make plain in here. We had two large items. One was in the budget, one was not in the budget. We included in there the local government support grant, which was $316,000. We did put it in the budget. We knew it was coming, and that's what we got. We did not put in the budget the second phase, which is the CARES Act of $206,000, almost $207,000. And we did get that also. We have not put anything in. We've got money coming in that will probably come in August or September from the feds, which will be 1/2 of $3.7 million. So we'll have about $1.8 million or so that we will get from there. Now that money is going to be restricted, that we have to put it in a separate account. And there's only certain things that it'll pay. You can't pay debt with it. You can't pay salaries with it.
That's COVID money.
Yes, yes. But we get it in 2 installments, one this year, one next year. And we don't know all the details about what we can spend it on yet, or the time frame we can spend it on. But we're getting that information, and Nolan's working on getting that information out. So that's where we are. So
If it's not spent by 2024, we gotta get it back.
yeah, I think the first installment that we get this year, we have to have it within 2 to 3 years. And then I'm sure it's the second installment will probably have the same thing on it, because a lot of this money is meant for infrastructure, and you can't do that just immediately.
Well, that was my question. Is that the 3.8 that we were looking for? That's earmarked water and sewer, broadband, that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
Okay, that,
It can be lots of things, but infrastructure fits right in with that.
Okay.
It's beautiful. So, we can use it just like it was in the water and sewer fund. We don't know everything we can use it for at this point in time, but we're pretty sure that infrastructure is one of the high priorities that they've got there. Trying to think if there's anything else here that's about it. Like I said, it's gonna be close to 5 mil that we're looking at, which was a lot better than what we thought it was gonna be. The one thing that we still have to decide is that if we are going to continue to budget with a deficit, knowing that we'll probably balance out and take heat from some people that are running for office, or are we going to slash everything back, have a balanced budget going in, and see how that works? We've done it for years where we've know we're going to get money back, and we budget as a deficit. And we pretty much always come back and cover it. It's really a philosophical question. I don't care which way we do it. It's much easier to do it the way we've been doing it. If we do it the other way, we're going to have to start slashing these department budgets. And we know that they're not going to spend it all, but we don't know where. So that's the problem, because if they're giving us back 8 or 10%, they can do without it on the front end. But it's hard to pinpoint where in those 8 or 10%, what did it come out of? And that would take a detailed review of every department, every line item for about 3 years. So hopefully, Shirley will be able to put all these numbers together, and we can start working on the voting on it next meeting. We do have the tax rate presently. We probably will not change it. It is 1.8497. Anybody got any questions about any of those numbers?
So you think it's a study to find out if there's a common reason or common thread for why we're spending 8 to 10% less than what we budget for?
Mhm.
I think that's a difficult process to figure that out.
I think it's not difficult, it's time consuming. And I don't have time to sit down. I mean, it would take weeks to do this. Even if you had some kind of computer program to go through it, you could probably do that. I don't know if there's one out there that would do that.
One of the things that I'm concerned about on the budget is we're in the most inflationary economy that we've been in about 13 years. And I don't really think it's realistic for us to think that we can expect to pay the same things in this budget year as we did last year. It's unrealistic.
No, I
I mean,
agree.
fuel is almost 100% just by itself. And, there goes tires and anything that we need, asphalt paving, for instance, I mean, all that stuff is going crazy. So I think I think that we need to look at some of these numbers a little bit on the things that we know, the things that we touch in our own lives that are costing us more money. If we can find some commonality within these department budgets for the same type of items, then we're going to know that what we spent in 2020 or 2020 to 2021 is going to grow in 2021 to 2022. I don't really think it's responsible of us if we don't look at those things. I'm not on the committee. It's just my opinion.
I understand. I think that if you ask any of these department chairmen, they try to anticipate some of those things. If you talk to Frank, I'm sure he's included something in there for inflation based upon whether it's tires or repair parts or whatever. I don't know how much, but you'll look at the numbers, most of them tend to be a little bit higher than they were last year. It's not that we're talking about rampant inflation, 10 or 12%, but 2 or 3% adds up.
Well, we're at over 13% right now. I mean,
but a lot of the driving that is house prices. That's a big.
Well, but a home is an accumulation of a bunch of pieces and parts. Sure. And some of those pieces of parts are up, 100%. So
wood and things like that. But
appliances, light fixtures, wiring, plumbing components. I mean, you name it. Floor covering, anything that's petroleum based, and which is most of, your pharmaceuticals are going up because they're petroleum based. Mm-hmm. So there's very little that it doesn't touch.
Sure.
Very little. And like I said, I'm not on the committee, but I'm just thinking that that's something we need to consider so we don't end up 12 months from now going, well, we didn't see that one coming.
Chairman Brock, mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think looking at putting a levy on the departmental budgets right out the bat is not the appropriate thing to do. We have inflationary concerns. We have limitations on our department heads that have put together a budget that we've gone through. But I think there might be a third opportunity in terms of balancing the revenue and the expenses. And that's, just like the numbers we were projecting to be in a 3 million range for this year in terms of revenue, in terms of our general fund end balance. And we're estimating that it's closer to 5. And that's been the trend over the past decade, that we have anywhere from $1.5 million to over $3 million in excess revenue.
But we've trimmed it down to a point where now it's 7%. It's not 10 or 15% anymore. This year, it's going to be closer to 7 if we take in the unbudgeted things we bought, the pay setters, and Microsoft 365. So we don't have the luxury of thinking that we're going to have 10 or 15% coming back. That's my concern.
Well, pay setters is paid for.
It's-
already.
And
It's
paid.
come out of this year's
Yeah.
cash balance, correct?
Yeah, but it was not budgeted.
Correct.
So if
But the cash balance is still the cash balance.
I understand, but when you turn around, you did not get that money back from the departments because, or you didn't get all of it back because of that. We've said around 10, we thought around 10%. It's actually 7%. Next year, is it going to be 5, 3? It's,
I just want to be sure I understand what you're saying, and I probably don't, but I want to be sure. But the way I interpret what you just said is basically, it sounded like that the expense associated with acquiring the Pacesetters property came from department budgets.
it did. And not department, it came from one department budget, administrative department.
Okay, so, all right, I just want to be sure that that wasn't just expensed. I don't know the
No,
inner workings.
No,
of
no,
that.
no.
I just want to make sure people aren't
It's a
confused.
capital.
Okay, that's
okay.
okay.
No, no, no,
That's
it's-
capital expenditure,
Right.
not a department budget.
No, no.
That's a capital expenditure.
Now, what we did is that we had a choice of either doing one of two things, either amending the budget and doing it, which is a procedure that, would have handicapped us in going after Pacesetters building time-wise.
Understand it.
And we said, okay, we know where there's money to do it. We're not going to break the budget. Let's take it out of there and move on. And we'll, but once it's bought, it goes to the proper categories. It's not just, it's not like toilet paper. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I think my point is that instead of looking at our expenses and trying to lower expenses, we should take a serious consideration of looking at our revenue, because we have a trend for over a decade that anywhere from 1.5 million to 3.3 million. And I think we should be a little bit less conservative, because this is an estimated budget. And therefore we would then have our expenses matching our revenue.
But aren't we, isn't the difference, the reason that we're better off at the end of the year than our budget predicts us to be? Isn't that difference in expenses and not revenue? Or is it both?
No, it's both. There's only two ways of doing it. You cut expenses or you increase revenue. And that's just the,
And I just want to be sure that I understand. So we talked about receiving one-time monies from the feds. Okay, and is that included in your general fund balance? So
No.
that's totally separate.
So-
Any of that money doesn't,
That's
cash
not
on
in this
hand
5 million.
is separate from all that. I just
Absolutely.
wanted to be sure that
Sure.
that wasn't,
The money that we got on those two smaller ones, yes, that did go in the general fund.
that's 300,000.
About 500,000, 316.
Okay, so
and
so our cash
200.
balance, 4.9. So let's go back to 4.4. So let's look at 4.4. That was one-time money. So we really can't even count that because we won't get that again.
No,
So.
But
we
there
drew
are
500,000 less.
there are things that we can pay for probably out of the money we're getting, the 1.6 or 7 million or $8 million. There are things out of that we can pay for that would have been paid for out of the general fund. It's not all infrastructure necessarily. Depends on how we decide to spend it. But there are things that we can probably pay for out of that when we get all the rules that would come out of the general fund and not come out of the enterprise funds. So we just don't know what all the rules are at this point in time. And once we get the rules, then we'll know how to play the game. I'm short of doing a detailed study of all this. I don't know how we're going to change it, frankly. I agree with you. We underestimate revenues generally, not by this group. I mean, we really jumped up. I mean, COVID did some strange things to taxes, sales taxes and stuff like that. We're in a building boom, so the building permits went up. Local sales taxes, even the taxes for the agreement that we had went up $345,000 over budget. Now, I don't think that we could have ever anticipated that. You know,
No, well,
because we
people-
would have never anticipated that the sales tax would go up like it did.
Well, I think that people were forced to spend money at home because they were locked at home. And I firmly believe that once people feel comfortable traveling again, that we're going to see that go back the other way.
Possibly so. And it's uncertain times, obviously, and it's hard to predict. Nobody predicted that sales taxes were going to rise during the COVID thing. When you look back on it, it sounds pretty logical. Yeah, they stayed home, they cooked, they made bread, they did all this stuff, and they bought stuff. So I agree with you. There's a possibility we could go back and adjust the income numbers, but again, it's just an adjustment. We have to wait till the end of the year to see what's going to happen. But it may make it more of a scientific process if we do. I'll go back and with Shirley and look at those revenue numbers again. I have not done that.
This sheet is, I mean, it just is pretty clear to me. I mean, going back from 2020, 19, 2.3 the year before, 2.5, 2.5, 2.4, 3.1, 3. Almost 4, 3.7. I mean, and it goes on 2.4, 2.5. So it's pretty telling that there's a lot of potential for us to have our expenses equal our revenue.
By raising our revenue numbers.
Correct.
Let's go back and we'll review the revenue numbers and see if we can.
And I think that's more timely than trying to analyze our expenses, because we do. I think we've been through that pretty well.
I agree with you.
I think that's been an excellent job by the departments and the committees.
This is the quickest way to do it, is to go back and look at all those numbers, and
We have the June revenues.
I mean, the June revenues are here. We know this already, what they are. But again, I put down, mine was based on the preliminary numbers that Samantha put together, not what Shirley put together. We can go back and review those numbers and see if we can plug them into the budget.
I think that'd be a worthwhile look.
Okay. It's not a problem. So anyway, hopefully next meeting we'll have a budget.
Do you want to recommend it that we have first reading next time?
Yeah, let's go ahead, and if we can do that, we don't know the numbers right now, but we'll have the budget. That way we can have a committee meeting set up.
I'll make that motion.
Steve?
So what are we?
We're saying we're going to present a budget
For next
for the next committee meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. Because we'll have to approve it in committee as the final read. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
And the tax rate's gonna stay the same.
Yes. Right. I don't guess anybody wants to raise
I
taxes.
see no reason whatsoever.
Okay. All right. Consider amending resolution 2128 to include fifth goal, follow state controller's guidelines for financial reporting permits.
I think, since this has come out of the committee, it's probably more appropriate that we, as a committee, reflect on, our the goals that have been, the timeline that's been passed down by the comptroller. And, my first assumption that this would go to the full board and we would create an addendum to the strategic goal. But I think the board, as well as our citizens, our department heads, should know that we want to try to go by the state's timeline. Obviously, this past year, the board elected not to do that, and for particular reasons related to the numbers. But it would be a good goal, not a mandate, that we have a resolution that makes that a goal for our committee and for the board.
I'll just put in my 2 cents worth that I had before. It's a goal already. It's not one that we have taken advantage of from the standpoint of having it in on time. We have a way to do that. I frankly think that this is a rule in search of a solution. I think it's a resolution in search of a solution. There's no bad things happen if we don't turn it in. There's no good things happen if we do turn it in on time. We also have a state, local government governing this. You will do it on this time unless you decide you want to do a continuing resolution. The other thing is it puts us in a box. Who's going to decide if we don't do it? Is it going to be the committee, going to be the board, going to be the chairman, going to be the finance or the city administrator? Who makes that decision that we will delay it? I don't know why we want to put ourselves in a box when there's already laws covering this. We don't need a local ordinance to do this.
Well,
So-
I'm recommending a resolution and a goal, not an ordinance, not a box, not a mandate, but a reassurance to our citizens, our department heads, and the state that we're going to shoot for this, and our finance department, that we're going to support our finance department with the tools that they need, the support that they need, that we can be more efficient with our numbers. There are most of the municipalities in the state of Tennessee are able to do this. And I would like for us to support our finance department and our department heads. Give you an example. We have department heads that want to start projects that are in this budget that we've had to delay. And they're not able to act on those projects right now.
Sure they can.
So it is a vote of confidence to them that we are going to make it a goal to adhere to these for next year. That would be the motion that I would do, is that we make a resolution recommending that we try to do the timeline put by the state comptroller for the 2021-22 budget.
I don't see that we're holding any department head up. I don't see that we're holding anybody in the state up. It's a non-issue. Again, it's a rule that's looking for a solution, and there's no problem. So why do we do that? Now, if we want to do this, if you make the motion, if there's a second, we'll vote on it.
I mean, we argued this to death at the last meeting, and I see both sides to this argument, but I have no problem trying it one time, and I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks about it. So, did you make the motion?
Yes, sir.
I second it.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Opposed?
Sorry, I agree with it. My vote doesn't count, but I agree with it.
Opposed? No. I'm saying no. We'll
Now,
bring,
as to form, this is a standalone resolution, not an amendment of a previously adopted resolution
you can't,
2128.
yeah, you couldn't do that because first of all, we've already approved it. Second of all, it was taken off the table and you can't amend a motion coming off the table.
Actually, you could do it by 2/3 vote, but that's not what we're doing. So it's a standalone resolution,
Okay.
subject to majority vote by the full board at the next meeting.
And we're doing this as a recommendation. Is that what you said?
Recommendation to the board that we have a resolution that it is a goal of our committee and the board to adhere, not necessarily adhere, that's a strong word, that it's our goal to follow the timeline set by the state comptroller.
Not a problem. We'll bring it to the board.
Thank you.
One other thing I'd like to add to the agenda, if we have time, I guess we do. I had a meeting, not a meeting, but a chance encounter with the Main Street president. And he was all antsy about us going back and amending our budget to fund Main Street now. I told him I would bring it up. He was going to call me back today. He did, but I was in the doctor's office and he never called me back. But the gist of it is that he has nothing else to recommend to us about a potential lawsuit. Nothing has changed on the board that I could understand what he was saying, but he felt like in recruiting a Main Street director, that was going to be a negative for them. I don't know if it's enough for this committee to decide to do that at this point in time. I don't feel comfortable with it, frankly, at this point in time.
This is Cliff or Rodney.
So he was trying to assure you that there wouldn't be a lawsuit?
He was trying to assure me that he thought there wouldn't be a lawsuit, which means I'm hoping. There's no definite, I got nothing from him that said, you know, we've got signed things saying that, you know, they're not going to do this or whatever.
But nobody's filed anything either.
No, nobody's filed
It's just
anything.
been talking.
Well, they did file a notice of preserving documents. That was done right after the brouhaha came about. Now, I don't know. He says there's been nothing else presented since then. I don't know if there's been anything. I think frankly, they're just kind of holding it over their heads like a sword.
If this is a threat of litigation against the city, it's not an appropriate topic for
not against
conversation
the
in
city.
the public record.
It's not against the city.
It's whether we fund them based upon that.
There was a lot, there is members of Main Street, McMinnville, threatening to sue other members of Main Street, McMinnville for.
But not threatening to sue the
Not the
city.
No,
city
no,
of
no,
McMinnville.
absolutely not.
Never mind.
Yeah,
It was a matter of, do we want to throw money in that possibly could become proceeds in a lawsuit or whatever it might be? And we've been, sorry.
How would you ever be assured
yeah.
unless the time runs? I guess?
Katie, I thought Rodney was now the president of Main Street. Okay.
I'm sorry.
And there'll be a new, they'll vote on offices. They're seating their new board members. And then they'll just do a vote on offices after that. So it may change again, but that's the current stand.
Okay.
All right, I don't know, other than a meeting of the minds between the two factions, that they say, you know, let's bury the hatchet here. I'm not privy to that. And
What is the risk if we don't fund them?
they have money. They have, I don't know exactly how much they have in the bank, but they have money to hire somebody. I don't know how much it would drain them, but because they have money from last year, they didn't, you know, they got rid of their director 3-4 months into the year, 5 months into the year, or something like that. So they've got a substantial amount of that, plus they have dues and that type of thing. I don't think the issue is having X amount of dollars to hire somebody. I think it's the thing hanging over their head about, you know, what happens if, you know, or to a potential director, you know, what am I getting myself into here? I think that's probably more what they're concerned about.
Essentially, what we would stand to lose in the hypothetical situation that say the board, the organization dissolved for lack of funds, we would not be eligible for certain bits of funding from the state from the 3-star grant. Because we have to have an active chapter of Main Street.
Gives us points.
Yeah, it gives us
along
points
on
basically
grants and
for
things
that
like
grant application.
And what's that potential?
No, don't say that, because I have used that argument and I've been told by several people, and I do not know the answer to this, as to how much that really would affect us. It only affects certain grants. It only affects, sometimes it affects percentage of match.
I don't
I thought it opens you to the next tier as well.
I don't know. That's my
I don't
point.
want to see that happen. That was just a hypothetical. This organization's got problems. And I think they're still getting worked out, and I'm in agreement with Everett. I just don't know that I feel comfortable with, you know, we met with them. We told them it would be a possibility to distribute those funds when we saw some efforts and improvement and everything, but
I don't see any difference in the thing right now. Again, they're gonna have to get their house in order before I would want to throw the money at them. And we're not talking millions here, but I'd hate to be part of my money, city's money, be part of a settlement or lawsuit. Something like that. I just don't know what's going on. And I don't know that they know what's going on. But they need to have these people sit down with each other and try to.
Might I
Well, if
offer,
you're talking about donations to nonprofits, part of the requirement for the eligibility to the, of the contribution from the city is their plan of services or their plan of activities, their budget, what they did during the past year. You know, they might not be eligible for the funding, even though you've approved it. And I'm not commenting on their activities because I know nothing about what they're doing or not doing.
I think they have continued doing some of the things they do. I think they're going after grants. I don't know if they've got any in there, but they're looking, they've had these frontage grant. You can probably speak to this better than I can, Katie. Tell us what they're doing right now, I guess.
Right now, so as you know, we don't have a director, so we have a limited program of work, but what we're doing is the Main Street Live concerts. We're doing a second Saturday every month where we coordinate among the businesses and we have music and
I heard the last show was really, really good this past weekend.
oh,
It was
yeah.
great. We were
Yeah.
downtown. Yeah.
So we are doing commemoratives where we do the brick memorials. We just completed our facade improvement grant, so that the final paperwork for that is going to the state. We're looking at pursuing the next round of grant of facade improvement, but we need to assess whether we have a competitive grant with a plan. We don't want to just apply and not have a real plan to pitch to the state. So that's where we're stuck on that.
Is there any want from either side in this thing to sit down and discuss this thing?
I couldn't speak to that. I don't know much
It
about
sounds
that.
like the answer is no.
No, I just don't know. I mean, Cliff may have an answer to that.
Yeah, I understand.
That was
but-
just talking about, but I would say that in addition to the kind of advantages of having a Main Street organization in the grants, we also get technical assistance from the state through Main Street organization. And ultimately, the number one client of any Main Street organization is the city, the government, is because we are, as an economic development nonprofit, doing a lot of the work that would be very expensive for the city to pull off. We as a nonprofit can do it for a lower cost, and our focus, of course, is on the economic revitalization of downtown. So we would lose that kind of horsepower.
Let me ask you this. If you guys could, I say you guys, I'm talking about Main Street.
Yeah.
Can you provide us with what benefits you provide for us as a city?
Absolutely.
What does it help us with grants? What type of
Yeah.
grants? Where do you guys fit in so that it benefits us?
Okay, we can do that.
I think that would be,
Take a snapshot.
I'd like to put it off until we can at least find that out.
Okay, we can do that.
And you might want to tell your membership too, that, it seems to behoove, they need to behoove them to try to resolve this thing.
I will do my best, but I can certainly work
Well,
with
you're-
Mary Dawn. to
You're
get-
here.
Yes, I know. I will be the messenger, but I can certainly work with Mary Dawn to get that snapshot.
Okay.
What's going on over there? Did you have a question?
well, no, I got to say something, me. I just don't understand why the threat of a lawsuit changes anybody's conduct in business. You do what you do and let them put their money where their mouth is and don't even waste your time. I mean, we're
what I'm
not in,
saying. How would you make assurances that they would never say from anybody?
but why do we care?
anything?
Why do we care? We're not a
Because
party. We're not a party to it. I don't understand why we even had this daggum discussion, because I don't care what private parties do, even if it's a nonprofit that we donate to, it doesn't matter.
Well, it does, if I'm going to recommend that we don't give city money,
Taxpayer money.
taxpayer money, that
Well,
does.
You don't want to tie it up in a lawsuit.
Then we can stipulate that it's to go for the particular services and events that they do, and it's not to be used for any other purpose. Full stop.
Well,
Why can we, it's a nonprofit. Why can we not?
It's essentially, those are essentially conditions of the contributions.
That's right.
You know, you don't, people come in, nonprofits come in and make their case. Here's what we do. Here's how we spend the money we're asking you to give. That's an affirmative representation as to how the money is to be used. They can't go out and buy a Cadillac with it. You understand what I'm saying?
They have
There's a
always
quid
said,
pro quo.
yeah, they have always said that this money is for paying the salary of that's when they submit it to us for the salary of the director. Now, they pay the director more than what we've been giving. It's been about 45,000. We've given 40,000. So, most of that is going toward that. The thing is that once they put it in their bank account, I'm not sure that, that can't be subject to some lawsuit if there was one.
Well, they'll have to come back next year for another round. And next time when they do, we'll say you're going to have to, pull your dress up and show us what you did with the money last year.
All right.
I will pass on the message.
Yeah,
and
if
we'll
we
you
can
a
get some more
snapshot.
information, I think would be more.
Okay, I'll pass it on. Thank you.
Anything else come for finance? Not Rich.
Is 7:02. We will call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the McMinnville City Board of Mayor and Aldermen for July 13th. The first item on the roll call, first item on the agenda is roll call.
All the board members are present at this time.
Next item on the agenda is consideration of minutes. Each member of the board should have received those in their agenda packet. If there be no requests for additions, corrections, or deletions, I'll entertain a motion to dispense with those as read.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Stacy Harvey.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Brock. All in favor of approving?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 3 on the agenda is recognition of visitors. Any member of the audience that wishes to address the board, please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will move on to item 4, recognition of employees. There are several department heads here this evening. Does anyone wish to recognize any employees tonight?
I'd like to make an acknowledgement. I just wanted to thank Fire Department, C Shift, and Lieutenant Bill Davis and Michael Minucci's and everybody else that was down at the 4th of July. It was a fantastic day, and I just think all the city employees that helped out deserve some recognition for that.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Sutton. Item 5 is communications. There are none in the packets. Did anything else come in? None. Item 6 is petitions. There are none. Item 7 is unfinished business. Does any member of the board have any unfinished business to discuss this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8, new business. Is there any new business to come before the board this evening? One thing I was going to mention, Zach, out of the TDB meeting, when do you think we should, I guess, have that discussion about a city appointment to the Park Theater Advisory Board?
I can find the date for you.
Okay, all right.
Take it.
That's no problem. Well, we can circle back around to that later. Any other requests for new business? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 9, resolutions. Item 9A is resolution number 2135, a resolution authorizing the city of McMinnville to participate in a Public Entity Partners Drive for Safety Matching Grant Program. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Everett Brock. Second by Ms. Rachel Kirby. Discussion on the matter.
I do have a question. I'm not familiar with this. I don't want to belabor the point. I'd just like to know a little bit about what I'm voting on. And it's a matching grant, and I don't understand the scope of the grant or the scope of the match.
These next 3 resolutions
I've read them. I've read them, but they don't really talk about any dollars.
well, they're $4,000.
Okay.
So it's a 50-50.
Okay, but that's $4,000 is a non-issue. I just saw no
This
money.
one is where we check the employee's driver's license each year.
Okay.
There's a cost to it, and they reimburse us for
Okay,
that.
fair enough. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
if you want to go down the list, just for explanation before we go on, that's fine with me to explain which each one of those is.
Okay, well, the first one is, like I say,
Yeah.
checking the driver's license. The next one is property, some kind of property thing that we improvements or whatever. And then the safety is like your vest, the orange vest that they wear, or the police bulletproof vest, stuff that we ordinarily buy anyway, safety equipment, and they reimburse us $52,000.
Okay.
Okay.
For resolution number 2135, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Everett Rock,
Aye.
Rachel Kirby,
Yes.
Sally Rock,
Yes.
Stacy Harvey,
Yes.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Zach Sutton,
Aye.
Mayor Chastain.
Aye, motion passes. Item B is resolution number 2136, a resolution authorizing the city of McMinnville to participate in the Public Entity Partners Property Conservation Matching Grant Program and to express the time when the resolution becomes effective. Do I have a motion for approval? Have a motion by Mr. Everett Brock,
Second.
second by Mr. Steve Harvey. Any discussion?
Just the same question. Dollars.
It's saying.
So they're all I'm sorry, Shirley, I apologize.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mayor.
No, you're fine. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Everett Rock,
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Sally Rock,
Yes.
Stacy Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby,
Yes.
Zach Sutton,
Aye.
Mayor Chastain.
Aye, motion passes. Item C is resolution number 2137, a resolution authorizing the city of McMinnville to participate in Public Entity Partners Safety Partners Loss Control Matching Safety Grant. I have a motion for approval.
So moved.
I have a motion by Miss Sally Brock,
Second.
second by Mr. Stacy Harvey. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Sally Rock,
Yes.
Stacy Harvey,
Yes.
Everett Rock,
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby,
Yes.
Zach Sutton,
Aye.
Mayor Chastain.
Aye, motion passes. Item D is resolution number 2138, a resolution of the city of McMinnville, Tennessee to adopt, ratify, and affirm the terms and conditions for access to the public Wi-Fi provided by Ben Lomond Connect under contract with the city of McMinnville in the downtown district, and to set the date for when the resolution becomes effective. I have a motion for approval.
Discussion.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Everett Brock,
Second.
a second by Mr. Steve Harvey. Discussion on the matter.
Well, I just want to bring it to attention for the last time, I guess, before if it were to pass, about how they look on the downtown buildings. I think the most visible one, or the best example of it, is on Ben Myers's building over here on the Core Square. That I just want everybody to consider to what they look like for the historical site.
This resolution is just about adopting the terms and conditions to log in, to be able to use the internet. There has been a lot of discussion. I've received several phone calls myself about the actual pieces that are on the buildings. And I guess I'm just going to have to ask Mr. Kell and Scotty and those that were involved, is there any feasible way to move these a little bit back to where they're not so visible off the side of the buildings, or would that interfere with signal strength and things like that?
Probably be a Michael Lawrence question.
Okay,
I think the answer would be it would change there.
okay.
It's all line of sight, right?
I mean, more or less, yeah.
Micah did mention that they could be painted with a certain type of paint.
To blend in.
So I mean, this is two separate matters. Yeah, I mean, this is just to ratify those terms and conditions and adopt those. So basically, when you log into the spot downtown, you're going to be brought up to a landing page that just says you agree to this, and this, and this. And
That's right.
yeah, and you hit okay, and then it logs you on. But yeah, this doesn't have anything to do with the aesthetics or where they're located. or anything like
That seems all standard fare.
Yeah.
The language, I'm perfectly fine with the language. I didn't see anything in it that concerned me at all. So do we have a motion to accept the language?
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, Everett and Steve made the motion in the second. So any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Everett Brock.
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Stacy Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby, Zach Sutton,
Aye.
Mayor Chester.
Aye, motion passes. Item 10 is ordinances. Item 10A is ordinance number 1814, an ordinance of the city of McMinnville to amend Chapter 5, Title 14 of the official zoning code of the city of McMinnville, Tennessee, which is the official zoning code of the city of McMinnville, to add a provision for the use of two-family dwellings in the general commercial district as a special exception use, and to set the date that this ordinance shall become effective. This is the second and final reading. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Stacy Harvey. Second by Mr. Everett Brock. Any discussion on the matter? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Stacy Harvey,
Yes.
Everett Brock,
Aye.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby. Yes. Zach Sutton,
Aye.
Mayor Chester.
Aye, motion passes. Item 10B is ordinance number 1815, an ordinance of the city of McMinnville to amend Chapter 5, Title 14 of the official zoning code of McMinnville, Tennessee, which is the official zoning code of the city of McMinnville, to add a provision for the use of an establishment where the real or personal property of others is sold by a broker or auctioneer as a special exception use, and to set the date that this ordinance shall become effective. This is the second and final reading. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Stacy Harvey and a second by Miss Sally Brock. Any discussion on the matter? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Stacy Harvey,
Yes.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Everett Brock,
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby. Yes. Zach Sutton.
Aye.
Mayor Chester.
Aye, motion passes. Item 11 is departmental reports. We have several department heads here this evening. And Scott was quick to jump up. Chair recognizes Scott McCord of Parks and Rec.
I wanted to get us out of here before 7:30, so quick. Talking with Zach, he did bring up Michael. Michael was great at the 4th of July. We had close to 70, I think he said, in the fun run or around that area. It was, you had about 70 or so in the fun run.
We had over 200.
Whoa, that was good. Well, he said 70.
He was busy.
Yes. They had the Yankee Doodle Parade, went great. They had about over 50 from what I understand from the Park Theater and the pageant. Just everything went fantastic from the fire department and the Watermelon Drop, the Yankee Doodle Parade, all our partners, Junior Auxiliary, the Rotary Lunch Rotary, American Legions 173 and 56, the scholarship competition, silver and gold band. I think everybody, Methodist Church was fantastic in helping and breaking down, and their picnic, their pancake breakfast was fantastic. I think we had close to 700 people down there during the day. So, yeah, huge shout out to all our volunteers and all those who came out to help and participate in the event. Also this weekend, we had the 15 and under baseball tournament, 4 teams. DeKalb County ended up winning. Great turnout. Rain was a little on and off, but it got done. I think we brought in $200 over expenses, so that was pretty good. Also this Sunday, 2 to 6, the Milner celebration should be a full day. We've got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of departments will be there to tell you what is new at the facility and what they do for their departments and what they offer. I believe we're going to have a lot of people, a lot more than I think. I think some bigwigs from Dr. Pepper are planning to be there. So hopefully you can make it out.
Should 2 or 3 to 6?
2 to 6.
2.
Mhm.
What's attendance and usage been like at the rec center since it opened?
It's been swamped.
Now, are you getting, is the early opening helping you?
No.
Are you reconsidering that, or are you gonna try to?
I think it's still too early to,
Okay.
but yeah, it's not been. But I think maybe once we start everything, that's our plan, is to open the whole building up at 6. So.
And that might change when school gets back in session and
Well, probably people don't, not everybody knows about it too at this point in time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that needs some time. I mean,
Yeah.
it may not work out, but 4 weeks.
And after
Right.
Sunday, we'll be open till 8 on Fridays and Saturdays and 1 to 6 every Sunday. So.
That's great.
I saw you walk up. I was in a meeting.
Well, I gotta admit, I was touring around a prospective employee. When I was driving around the area, he said, "What's that building over there?" And I said, "Well, you know what? Let me go show you, because I haven't seen it yet either." And we went through it, and he was very impressed. And he comes from an area where they have a lot of stuff like that in Central Florida. So it was good. It was very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Chair recognizes Ricky Morton, water.
Real quick. Center Street project is done. We've paid that, we finalized that out, and I think Nathaniel will tell you it was a success. So everything's flowing, and that's a good thing. TDEC just done their water sanitary survey last month. We received 100 on that. That's 2 in a row. So those are kind of hard to come by.
Congratulations.
Are we entering the water contest this year?
We will have a sample in the August meeting at TAUD. I did put that in your boxes. If you want to attend, just give me a call. I would like to know by next Friday. Again, the earlier the better. So right now I've got, I think Sally and Everett. I'm gonna go.
One question. I was looking at the TML meeting. I've got to go to that as a member of the
Tennessee Municipal
yeah,
Bond Permit.
Tennessee Municipal Bond thing, which I'm on their board. They're offering some of those classes at that thing too. Is that going to be same classes or?
In the itinerary there, you'll have administrative stuff, but you can get 6 hours of CE for this.
Yeah,
meeting.
but I'm wondering if it's the same 6 hours. I've already got 3.
I assume no, since this is TAUD.
Okay. But this is a TAUD function
It
at
is.
TML.
Yeah, it is. So that's a question I can find out from Kim.
I'm not sure I want to go to both of
Both
them.
of
if
them,
I
okay.
get one.
I'll call and I'll get you an answer for that.
I've got to go to the TML.
Okay, I'll get back with you. There is a list of hotels in that front page there, on the second page, third page actually there. Just kind of let me know where you'd like to stay if you're gonna go. You can just, if you want to drive up one day and attend, I don't know how much credit you would get for that, but if you want to attend the water contest, we've got some, I'm going to send some of the plant employees up for that. So, but just let me know. The other thing on that training, you can get free training on the state comptroller's website. And you need 12 hours every 3 years. So, and that's the board. And if you don't have that, you can lose out on grant funding. So if you do attend or you want to do that online, if you'll get me back the information, your certificates, I'll hang on to them, keep up with it. So just let me know. The other thing, Nathaniel wants to go over some of the SRF rankings that we just got for some proposed projects. And he can kind of give you an update on where we ranked. We actually ranked higher this year than we did on some of the projects in the past, but I'll let him explain that. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. If you remember at the beginning of the year, we put together some ranking requests and sent them into the state revolving fund loan program, which is the same funding program we've used several times in the past here. Most recently with the sewer plant upgrades that we did. This time we applied for inflow and infiltration on the collection system side, and we applied for upgrades on the water system side. On the collection system side, we ranked in 18th of 33 that were ranked. And that was for $2.3 million. It didn't provide us an estimated interest rate on it though, but that would typically be over 20 to 30 years that you'd finance it over. On the water side, we ranked 10th out of 30. Okay. That was actually for $4 million that we had requested to be considered for. And they did give a projected interest rate of 0.42%. So just wanted to give you an update on that. We've not received a funding letter or anything like that yet. That'll come within the next few months, I'd say. And so we've got time to make appropriations if we are going to do anything for it, but I just wanted to let you guys know. So
What's that restricted to?
as far as
What can we use it for?
Oh, that's for the upgrades for the water treatment plant. We specifically had requested that for the one that we're ranked 10th on. The other one is inflow and infiltration. Now on that one, we're actually working with the CDBG project right now to work on. So but anyway, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chief Mosley.
I just want to let everybody know, we're gonna be able to have the McMinnville Police Department Citizen Police Academy again this year. So we'll be having it September the 9th through October 21st. It'll be on Thursday nights from 6 to 8:30, which we didn't get to have it last year. So we're excited to get it back going again. I have a flyer if I could hand out to all of you. If you want to attend, if you don't know somebody that does, we're accepting applications now. You don't want to be that.
That was a pacemaker right
That would be the end of it.
One shot deal.
That's all I have. We're excited to get to start that up again. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other department heads? Hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. Like Mr. McCord said, the rec center ribbon cutting will be this weekend, the 18th, from 2 to 6. Hope to see everybody there and have a big turnout. And then on the 20th at 10:30 downtown at City Hall, we will be having the Wi-Fi ribbon cutting for the opening of that and the usage as well. Does any other member of the board have any announcements? Council, do you have anything?
No.
Hearing none, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.